Okay, ready to dive in. This time we're looking at something different, something you might not think of right away when you think cybersecurity.
It's not all fancy algorithms and firewalls, right?
Exactly. We're talking about dumpster diving.
Dumpster diving. It sounds so low-tech, almost nostalgic in our digital age.
But, and this is the important part, it's a very real threat. We're talking about real-world vulnerabilities with digital consequences.
Absolutely. Cybersecurity is as much about human behavior as it is about technology. And what's more human than underestimating the value of what we throw away?
So let's break it down. For our listeners who might not be familiar, what exactly is dumpster diving in the context of, cybersecurity?
It's simple. Think of someone rummaging through your trash. But instead of empty pizza boxes, they're looking for discarded documents, old hard drives, basically anything that might contain sensitive information.
Okay, so it's not just someone trying to find aluminum cans to recycle.
Not quite. It's about exploiting carelessness. It's like leaving your front door wide open. You're practically begging for trouble.
So we've all been there, right? Accidentally throwing away an important document or two. But we're talking about something much bigger here. Can you give us an example of what kind of treasure someone might be looking for?
Let's say you throw out a printout with a client list. Names, addresses, maybe even phone numbers. Seems harmless, right? You
Yeah.
probably have it saved on your computer anyway.
I'd be lying if I said I haven't done that before.
We've all been there. But in the wrong hands, that piece of paper is a gold mine. It's a starting point for an attacker. They can use that information to build a profile, maybe even attempt a phishing attack.
So it's not just about the information itself, it's about what it can lead to.
Precisely. And it gets even scarier when we talk about digital devices. Let's say a company throws out a bunch of old hard drives without wiping them properly.
Wait, you can get information off of those even after they've been thrown away? I thought deleting things was good enough.
Oh, if only it were that simple. There's data recovery software that can reconstruct deleted files and access fragments of data. Even if you think something is gone, it might not be entirely erased.
You're kidding. So even if you delete something and empty the recycle bin, it's still floating around in there somewhere.
In a way, yes. It's a bit like erasing something written in pencil. You might not see it clearly, but traces of it remain.
Okay, that's kind of unsettling. So what can people do to protect themselves? Should we all be paranoid about every scrap of paper we throw out?
Being aware is key. The first line of defense is simple. Shred everything. And I mean everything. Invest in a good cross-cut shredder, the kind that turns documents into confetti.
And what about digital files? What's the digital equivalent of a good shredder?
Deleting a file is like removing a book from a library shelf. It's not truly gone. You need specialized software, something like DBAN or CCleaner. These programs overwrite the data multiple times, making it virtually impossible to recover.
So you're saying there's delete and then there's delete.
Exactly, and the same goes for old electronics. Don't just chuck that old laptop or phone in the trash.
Yeah, that makes sense. Those things are basically little computers, right?
Exactly. They store tons of personal data. Look for secure disposal services. They'll make sure the data on your devices is erased properly.
Wow, okay. You've definitely given me a lot to think about. Who knew trash could be so interesting?
Right. Cybersecurity is an ongoing process. We tend to focus on the digital world, firewalls, and passwords, but physical security is just as important.
So what's the one big takeaway you want our listeners to remember from this deep dive?
Be mindful of what you throw away. It might seem like garbage to you, but to someone else, it could be the key to your digital life.
Excellent advice. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.